What's up, guys? This is Steve from Wolves at the Gate.
What's up, guys? I'm Nick, and you are listening to the KingdomCore Podcast.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the KingdomCore Podcast. Chris, it's been a bit.
It has, and we say this every episode.
Every episode, it feels like, but
we're sorry, guys. We're sorry.
We are sorry. Should I overpromise by saying this winter we're going to record quite a few episodes? Should I overdeliver or overpromise and underdeliver again?
I think let's just do moderate hopes, and we're hoping to record a decent chunk of episodes.
Definitely.
But
we would definitely love to start doing news episodes again.
Keep in mind, within 3 weeks of recording this, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks on a cruise.
Oh my gosh. All right, Chris.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have some stuff out for you guys. We definitely have a lot of releases to catch up on.
We do.
We need to interview some bands.
And we need to do some news episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll start doing those quarterly.
Instead of bi-weekly
bi-monthly
or bi-monthly, and then we went to monthly. Now it's like quarterly.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you guys for tuning in again. We really appreciate your guys' support. Today, our episode, I had so much fun.
Yeah.
Chris, tell them who we chatted with.
We got to chat with the legends, Steve Cobucci and Nick Detty from Wolves at the Gate. And obviously Steve's repeat guest, we got to chat with him back when Eulogies came out, and now Wolves at the Gate.
Crazy that was almost 2 years ago, dude.
No, man, time's flying by.
I know.
But they have a new album out, Lost in Translation, which came out at near the end of September.
Cover album.
Don't be confused, we talk about that right away.
Right away.
But it was an absolutely great conversation, and lots of crazy tour stories.
Yes, that was pretty awesome.
And Nick joining the band and coming to faith, like a bunch of awesome stuff. So stay tuned.
Yes.
And we're excited to hear what you all think.
Yes, we are. But before, we have our new tradition of reading a podcast review from Apple Music Podcasts.
And this time we have two, just because
we have two.
Just so I don't ever lose this page because I didn't know it existed.
Yep. So I will go first. Ours, and I will clarify, is on the U.S. side of things. In case you didn't know, there is a Apple Podcast Canada versus Apple Podcast US.
And there is I think I came across looking for these. There's like a Taiwanese one. It's like
really
because after you have the link.
Wait, do we have a Taiwanese?
There's no review.
Oh.
No, but I think there was a rating, like just like. I think so. I
thank
could be
you,
wrong.
Taiwan.
All of Taiwan listened to the podcast. Give us a 5-star rating.
So this one is from Christine W 1559. She said it's titled "Definitely What I Needed." And she said, "Thank you for this. My life needed this podcast. I'm so happy I finally found my people." Thank you, Christine.
Yeah,
you are our
sweet.
people, and we are glad that this podcast has brought you some joy.
Absolutely. I have not pre-read this in any way, so hopefully we don't have to.
I am so ready for this, dude.
But on the Apple Podcast podcast.apple.com/ca/our podcast name, we have a review that was uploaded September 6th by Metzuda, and it's titled Chat GPT Review. So this should be interesting.
This is an AI review.
This is an AI review of our podcast, and I'm excited to get into this. Okay, here we go. So it's kind of long. Stay tuned. KingdomCore, the podcast that's not just about praising the heavens, but also cranking up the volume to 11. It's like a divine fusion of faith and fierce guitar riffs that'll have you shouting hallelujah in no time.
Wow. I want to know what their prompt was.
It's probably just write a review of the KingdomCore podcast.
Oh, that's so funny.
Listening to KingdomCore is like attending a heavenly concert where angels trade their harps for electric guitars.
Okay, then.
The hosts bring the charisma of a preacher and the energy of a rock star, making each episode a spiritual headbanging experience.
Am I the preacher or the rock star?
Probably the preacher.
Well, then what does that make you?
I'm the rock star. New White Robe Nation track coming out. Their discussions about Christian hardcore music are like sermons for the soul, but with breakdowns that hit harder than a sledgehammer. It's as if the Bible had a punk rock remix, and you can't help but tap your foot to the gospel beats. Here's the last chunk. So, if you're looking to elevate your faith and your music taste simultaneously, KingdomCore is your holy grail. Put on your headphones and get ready to rock your way to salvation, because this podcast is proof that even the most devout can enjoy a righteous mosh pit.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
Oh my goodness. Chat GPT knows what's up.
Do they?
I don't think it's ever listened to an episode.
Not at all. Not at all.
Mr. Preacher.
Oh man. Well, thank you for that. And I guess with that, here is our episode with Wolves at the Gate. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. Really appreciate it. Been looking forward to this episode for a bit. So you guys just dropped Lost in Translation, your guys' full-length cover album. What's the response been to it?
It's been good. There's been some confusion from some people.
We're just gonna jump right into that, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's been overwhelmingly positive. You know, I was doing an interview earlier today and was explaining how, you know, the people that respond on social media, it may seem like they're the loudest, but like that's not the majority for sure. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's just been people like, oh, you guys just doing covers from now on? It's like, yep, we just decided 15 years in, we don't want to do that anymore. It's like, no, we're just, yeah. So it's been cool. It's been fun to see people's responses. It's been a lot of fun for us to do. Honestly, we were just like, if this is just fun for us, that would be awesome. Who cares really what everyone else thinks? Obviously we do care, but at the end of the day, we want to enjoy what we're doing. And it was a lot of fun for us and kind of, creative, like just release to just not have to worry. The songs are already great. Let's just have fun, you know?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that was the reason behind the particular songs that we picked. It was just like, what are some of the best songs that we know that we would have fun doing like ourselves, you know? So.
So were those songs that you chose, were those all like band favorites, or were some of them like, you know, Steve, a couple of them are yours, Nick, a couple of them are yours, maybe Joey had a couple?
Yeah, we had like a Spotify playlist that I started and just said, just add songs to the list. And so that was obviously made it more difficult. But yeah, for the most part, I would say, Nick, probably like 75 to 80% of it was like pretty like collective, you know, decision. I did the cover for Stupid Deep, and Ben actually just thought, he's like, I just thought you wrote a great song. And I was like, no,
I did. Yeah, I was gonna say, before
not.
we did that, I'd never heard it either. Like, I had never heard that song before.
Yeah, I talked to Joe a lot about that in the past. Like, man, it'd be so cool to cover that song. And he agreed. I kind of had like songs with each guy where I was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to do this song? And this was the opportunity to do that. So.
And my personal favorite on the record, Sweetness. It sounded like that was one that you guys have been planning for a long time, or wanting to do for a long time.
Yeah. Long before.
I mean, that's a song Steve talked about a lot. Like, he's like, dude, I really want to do this. I mean, arguably, like, Jimmy Eat World is like one of your favorite bands, right? Like, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So that was a pretty easy choice, like, on his end.
Yeah.
Yeah, before Nick was even A Twinkle in Our Eye, it was the song we wanted to cover. So, little did you know, Nick, you know, it was in your destiny.
Yeah,
that's great. So then, what was that? If you had that like collective playlist that probably got way more than 10 songs, what was that process of narrowing them down?
I think it was like, obviously something was super important for me and the guys is like connecting with like the message of the song. And so that was that was part of the idea too, is like we take influences from a lot of different artists, and unfortunately if we were to only pick artists that had the same beliefs that we did, it would be a very short list of musicians that we appreciate their artistry and their lyrics. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And so there are songs that people write that I think are 100% true and 100% accurate of how they're either looking at reality, the world, what it's like to have these I would call it the flesh. I don't know what an unbeliever would call it, but to wrestle with the reality that you just can't do. A Romans 7 experience, you can't do the things that you want to do, and you don't do the things, or you do the things you don't want to do. So was trying to narrow it down that way, but then also we wanted to make sure we were covering songs that we felt like we could cover it, and if people didn't know the song, it would just sound like a Wolves at the Gate song. Could we actually really make it, like, could it really fit in with what we're doing? Because sometimes I think heavy bands have covered songs in the past, and it's more of like a joke, like a parody sort of thing. And we didn't want it to seem like a parody. We weren't going for laughs, let's put it that way. So yeah, no having Nick scream words like crunk or anything like that.
So no
Plus,
Family Force 5
it also
covers?
shows like a yeah, right. Yeah. I think it also shows that like we genuinely like love these bands and love these songs and like honestly want to give them the respect and like due diligence that these like songs deserve. They've already like obviously like made something great of themselves already, and we're not gonna like, us doing a cover is not doing anything for them. So how do we like bring that into like a respective light and like treat these songs in a good way to when people listen to them, they're just like, oh man, this sounds sick. Like this is a cool, like different take on this song kind of thing.
Yeah.
My favorite comment from people was, this isn't better than the original. And I always wanted to reply, like, I agree.
It wasn't supposed to be, right?
Exactly. We weren't, the marketing wasn't like, 2.0, versions of these songs, new and improved versions. We already thought these songs were great. We were just trying to basically like, send it through a different filtration system, our creative minds, for better or for worse. And for those people, they've obviously identified to them it was for worse. But
I feel like I hear that argument with covers a lot, where it's like somebody's like, well, if it's not going to be better than the original, like what's the point? Right? Like I feel like I hear that about every cover that ever comes out. And I like it's a different take on it by different artists. And,
Yeah.
it's illogical.
Plus, if a band's really wanting to challenge themselves and like create something really unique, like definitely at least explore that option. It doesn't even have to make it to the finish line, but at least you attempted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's subjective too, because when you put out a cover song, somebody may think, oh, our cover is better, but then somebody disagrees or somebody agrees. It's just subjective, so it doesn't matter. The other part of it too is like, if you're not going to make it better, it's like, well, then people should stop making burgers. People should stop making pizzas. Like, 'cause there's better burgers and better pizzas out there. But you know what? That hasn't stopped
McDonald's.
Yeah. But you could ask Nick and I. It hasn't stopped us from going to get burgers and pizza, because we're always like, yeah, why not try your burger or your pizza? It could be really good. So
That's cool.
That's funny. That's a really
Does
good
this
point.
give you guys an extra boost of songs that you guys can play live, or is there a different thing legality?
No.
Is there? I don't know.
No, we can. Yeah, we can play them live, and we've played "Breaking the Habit," and we were like super close to playing "Sweetness" last week. What was that?
I was there, dude.
No, Sean was literally just telling me before you got here. He's like, "Hey, I was at the Haste the Day show. That was awesome." I was like, "Man, he's gonna be really bummed to find out we were about to play."
That makes me so sad, because I just saw Jimmy like 2 or 3 months ago too, so that would have been cool to see both of them.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
it was a big bummer for us too, if it makes you feel any better, because like we were trying to figure out set time, and
Gotcha.
like you know how shows go, like sometimes they get kind of out of sync, and just stuff happens and stuff. It's just it's part of the business, but we were only allotted a 30-minute set, and we were trying to like pick the best kind of out of that thing. So yeah, it was a hard choice though.
If I may say, I was more happy to get Lowborn than I would have been to get Sweetness.
All right, awesome. Yeah, it was hard because we thought we had 35 minutes, and so I was like building the set, and Ben's like, dude, we have 30 minutes, and I was like, oh no. And so then the goal is always like, how much like music can we squeeze out of that amount of time, and basically just exhaust ourselves for 30 minutes. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you guys sounded great. So
thanks, man. Dude, I'm so pumped that I'm so bummed I didn't get to see you.
I know. I was telling Nick, I went to the merch booth and I couldn't find you guys.
Yeah, man. Well, shame on us. Were you there at the end of the show?
I was, but I had to leave like right after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The other thing too with the venues is like they're like herding people out like cattle.
I know.
They're like, if you're not buying merch, you need to leave. And it's like the show. They're like still ringing out.
Yeah.
It's
I heard that exact same thing when I was in Seattle just a couple of weeks ago for a show. They like 15 minutes after it ended, they were like, "All right, if you're not buying merch, get out of here."
It's like I get they want to go home.
A lot of bigger clubs do that, or like more well-established clubs do that. It's just
this was like I don't know if you guys have ever heard of El Corazon in Seattle, and then the Fun House, which is like the tiny one over in the corner. They were doing this in the Fun House.
Oh,
it's like
they're like, all 5 of you get out of here.
I was gonna say, the 50 cap room in the corner of the parking lot.
It's just one guy with a broom just to push people
it's like
out.
The bands are the only people still in there.
I'm wrapping cables, dude. Oh my goodness.
That's amazing.
Sean, I'm sorry, dude. No,
it's all good, man.
Yeah.
All good, man. I wanted to ask, were there any covers that you guys attempted that you guys, when they came out, you're like, nah, let's scratch that?
I'm trying to think through because I didn't send any of the guys any. I always tell them that I write a lot more songs than they know. Because they're like the ones
them in secret.
Yeah. Well, I wake up the next morning and I go, ooh, yeah, that sounded good at 1 a.m. That doesn't sound that great.
Can we get a hidden Stephen Cobucci files of all the demos that you have?
If I'm not showing it to the guys, I'm not showing it to you guys either. So yeah, those secrets stay safe with me.
It's when Wolves of the Gate decides to finally end. Here's the rest of it.
Yeah.
Steve's gonna dump about 50 tracks called late night jams, and that's all it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I have a fatality protocol that when I die, it'll all get released, and you guys can see really how bad of a musician I was, and I was tricking you all.
I bet you that you could probably throw together your 10 best tracks that you were just like, nah, and everybody would eat it up. It was
probably
a really good Wolves of the Gate album or something.
We'll do that when we're officially washed up and
that'll never
have nothing left to give. But yeah, as for songs that we honestly, I didn't end up recording any, but I tried. So I really liked the idea of taking a song that was really heavy and making it very melodic. We kind of did that with Diamond Eyes by Deftones, but we really liked the idea of is there a Slipknot song that we could cover that everyone's going to expect to be really heavy, but it's really chill. We had this idea of doing a Chill Switch Engage cover.
That's amazing.
But it didn't happen in time. Yeah, those are some of the things that I think we had some super throwback classic rock songs. I had this idea of maybe covering Kashmir by Led Zeppelin, but it's a 7-minute song, and I was like, no, never mind. So stuff like that was like, I was trying to like really think outside the box, but obviously that didn't happen. So
I feel like a Led Zeppelin song with your vocals on it would be very interesting. Like, would you try
really
and do it like
intimidating.
a higher octave? Like
I've got one thing, and that's the gravel that's in my voice. So I don't think I could rival those silky pipes. So.
You gotta layer Nick's like highs behind it.
Yeah, Nick, you sing the high parts, dude. Go
you
ahead.
guys could do a collaboration with Greta Van Fleet.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a weird mashup, but I'm there for it.
That's awesome.
Well, I think something that, like, with that whole conversation of some of the fans being kind of confused or like, oh, like covers, you guys did this a decade ago.
Yeah.
And I think that's something a lot of, like, you guys have grown massively since then. So there's probably like a big portion of the fan base that hasn't heard that stuff before. Have you guys been wanting to do covers since then? Like, or is this just a more recent, like, hey, we should try this again?
It's kind of like, I have a lot of ideas that have like just been rattling around, like kicking a can down the road, and eventually you like get to the place where it just kind of lines up perfectly, This was very unintentional, the way this all came together. And it happened really, really fast too. So, and it wasn't planned, I'm sure people thought like, a lot of people are like, oh, you guys are making this shift. I'm like, little do you know, I just made half a demo of Heathens and sent it to the guys and like, this is sick. You need to finish the song. And then I sent it to our A&R at the label and he says, how many more of these do you have? And I'm like, none. He's like, can you make it an EP? And then as I was making an EP, he's like, dude, could you just do an album? And I was like, okay. So like none of this was really planned.
Yeah.
But we did love the idea of, really the only one that was like circling the back of my head was Sweetness. Like one day we should cover Sweetness or, so yeah, it was just kind of like the ideas that you kind of have when you're in the van and you're like, driving in the middle of, West Texas with nothing to do. And you're like, would it be sick if we did this? And we're like, yeah. And then it doesn't happen. Well, it happened this time.
Yeah.
So
how long ago did you guys have that conversation with your A&R guy? Like since Eulogies came out?
Oh yeah, it was well after it. So Eulogies came out, then Lowborn, and it was basically like the beginning of this year, right, Nick? Probably like February that I sent you.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very early into the year that we actually started doing all this because, I mean, it was like the timeline was like pretty like one thing after another. We decided to do it, and then we did a cut. Like he did the one song, and then we started working on it, and then it just kept going, and it didn't even stop. Like we didn't stop.
Yeah, it was not long in between when I sent the demo out to when like Nick flew into, Philadelphia and was at my house tracking vocals. So it was like kind of a blur. But we just love the idea of, giving people more content. And this doesn't mean that we had like no songs written. We've got like probably 2 albums full of music written.
Okay.
We just
The 2024 confirmed.
Yeah, no, not confirmed. You're definitely going to hear new music next year, that's for sure. But we're trying to just figure out how we want to approach it, and I don't know. The longer we do this, the hopefully, I know it is for me, the more precious it becomes because you just realize like, people could stop caring tomorrow, or things could happen, and we don't have this opportunity anymore. So we just, I don't know. We really just want to try and give people value and show appreciation for all the people that support us and do something interesting or different and not just kind of just churn out the same stuff,
Right.
So that's what's exciting to us. And we feel really excited about this new material as well. I know we're talking about the cover album, but yeah, I mean, we were just all together and, well, actually, Nick, remember we were in in the UK, and we were just going through all the demos, like ranking them. It was mostly just us headbanging, you know. It was like quasi-productive, but we were mostly just kind of like jamming out to the demos.
More
So-
headbangs per minute means it's a good song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, we were trying to come up with a folder of like 10 to 12 best songs that we want to like. Obviously, like still work on the other stuff, but the most confident right now at this point, and just go whole hog into the whole thing. Just like we really want to flesh these ones out, and then also see how the other ones hopefully turn out. But you know, these are like our strongest at this point, kind of thing. So. Yeah, we rented a van while we were in UK, like a Sprinter van while we were in the UK, and Ben's phone was the only thing that was hooked up to the Bluetooth. So we're just playing songs off of the Dropbox, you know, and it's like, yeah, it was for like a good like 2 hours. Like it was, you know.
That's awesome.
Nice.
What was that tour like? Because you guys played with Red Jumpsuit, right? And then you did Loud and
Yeah.
Proud.
Yeah, the tour
Yes.
was cool. I mean, I'll give you like the short answer, and then you can let me know if you want the long answer later, because that was probably like the craziest travel experience we've ever had.
Yeah.
But the tour was awesome. All the shows were packed. It was cool for us to see, you know, there's always that thought of, you know, you're going someplace you've never been before. Do we actually have fans? You know, and I remember the first time we went to Germany thinking, why were we invited to come here? You know, nobody knows who we are. And there were a lot of people who knew who we were. And it was the same thing in the UK. So that was really cool to just be, surprised by that and get to talk to people there. And, you know, for me, you know, it's, I know what it's like to really like a band and to have never gotten to see them live. There were people flying in from all over Europe, you know, Croatia,
Wow.
Czech Republic, people flying from France, Portugal,
That's so cool.
South Africa, people flying from Africa to come, you know. So it was like, I felt really bad because I was like, I wish we could go to all the places you live. But, you know, so that was really cool to just get to connect with a whole different fan base there. And also too, you know, for however, I guess I don't even know what the right word is, but the way that the church in America is like dying, they're like a generation ahead in Europe. And so it was really cool to connect with believers there who were really appreciative of who we are and what we do, just because it feels really dark to them where they live. Got to have some great conversations too, because there's a lot of people who are probably just don't know the gospel, or it's not every day that a band shows up and decides to, you know, talk to them about who Jesus is and what he came to do and the hope that he gives in his life and death. And so that was really awesome to have that opportunity as well. So yeah, those are all the really positive things that happened.
Nick will let you take the negatives.
That's usually my MO in here. It's okay. Just give me the like I'll deal with it. No, so it is probably by far the craziest and like almost like worst traveling experience we've had.
Whoa.
Flying over. Obviously, like we've been to Christmas Rock Night a lot of times.
Right.
Like for the past like 10 years, we've been going over there. And almost consecutively, you know, there was like a year or so gap where, you know, between Christmas Rock Night and then doing obviously Loud and Proud, but never have we really had like any hiccups or like anything that was super crazy. Since day one of this trip, it was just nonsense the entire way. We get on the plane in Indianapolis, and the plane in Indianapolis then proceeds to tell us, after we've already been on board for like 20 minutes, the pilot begins to tell us that there's an electrical problem on one of the
Let's go.
Yeah, I was like, cool, we're starting off strong.
Set the
Like,
tone.
Let's get this thing let's get this thing in the air. Let's do it.
Oh my god. So he kept telling us like it should only take like 15 20 minutes. He did that like 6 times.
Yeah.
I remember falling asleep in my like where I'm at, because I was next to Joey, and I wake up and I look at the time. We got on the plane at like 5 o'clock, and we were supposed to be in Chicago and the time would roll back, and we would be there in like at 5:10, because it's like a 45-minute, 50-minute flight. So I wake up and it's like 9 o'clock. We've been on the plane for 4 hours.
Did you have the thing where, like, because I fell asleep too, and I was hearing that announcement in my dreams, and then I woke up, and the announcement is still.
I would wake up 20 more minutes, like 20 more.
And you're like,
dude, it was so awful. So like, finally they decide they're supposed to deboard you after like 2 hours. Like 2 hours pass by and they're not reaching a resolution.
Here's a new plane.
Like the policy's supposed to be.
Yeah. Can we have one that works, please?
Or like, hey, if we have to get to your connecting flight, something. Yeah. So we finally get off the plane in 4 hours, and I mean, we're in panic mode because we're just like, we cannot miss our connecting flight in Chicago. I mean, by this point, we've probably already missed it.
Well, we missed the first one. Yeah, we missed the first one, and we're trying to catch the last flight out.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So,
because
we had to run across.
Like looked it up.
Yeah, we had to run across 2 terminals, so we're all just like sprinting.
2 terminals.
We're sprinting.
It is the most intense 400-yard sprint I've ever done.
I kept looking back,
pushing people out of the way.
Like, and you just pull out your screaming voice. You're like, get out
of the way. Yeah. No, so we're all booking it. Joey is 100% the most athletic out of all of us. So Joey beats us there by like a good 5 or 6 minutes.
Whoa.
So, and all of us are just sprinting. Oh yeah, dude, he's gone. Like, he's on. So we get there, and then like it's Steve and Ben and Joey talking to them, and they're like, yeah, we have 3 extra seats. And like, they're looking at their computer, so they're gonna let 3 of us out of the 5 of us on the plane. So we're like, okay, like, let's just let 3 of us go. At least 3 of us can make the show. We'll figure out how to make it work. That way we don't have to miss the show in London. And then like, we can just figure out the other 2 people, like, because we knew what was gonna happen. Like, you call United, which, by the way, anybody listening, don't fly United. But yeah,
don't do it.
It was so bad. So like, I'm already on the phone, like talking to United support, like trying to figure out like, what's compensation for 2 people, because obviously the line at the service desk was like stupid long.
Right.
So I'm just going to talk to somebody while I'm on the phone doing this. They get on the plane, like all 3 of them, Joey, Ben, and Ab, because Ben has all the logistics. Obviously, if we needed to play. What?
Abishai was with you.
Yes, Abishai was with me.
Yeah.
Joey was going to get on, and then and Steve would go, like, who knows, maybe we can just play an acoustic show. Like, it's kind of is what it is at this point. So Joey gets on the plane, and I'm sitting in line still on the phone, and I see Joey walking towards us because like Ab had like gotten a call from him. They kicked Joey off the plane because they miscounted seats, because a lady that was sitting in one of the seats, like, and had an empty seat next to her, she bought 2 tickets, which, listen, in this economy, I don't know how you're buying 2 tickets to London, but bro, like, whatever. Anyway, yeah. So Steve and Ben.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. When I got on the plane, there was like 10 open seats, and I was like, "Yo, what is going on here?"
See, I don't get that at all.
I'd be so mad.
I don't.
Yeah, well, because when we got there,
yeah,
when we got there, they told us there were 5 seats. We get there, and they're like, only 3 of you can fly. So we're like, well, no, we're just all going to go together. They're like, no, 3 of you need to go now because we only have 2 seats on the next flight. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. So the funny thing is Joe was the first one to go. He's like, I'll go, and we're like, okay.
He's like, I want to go to London.
It's like, I beat you guys. We're not late because of me.
I think that's why he got kicked off. He was a little too eager. The flight attendant didn't like it. She's like, this guy really wants to be on this flight, and so she probably was like, she's like, let's do a background check, and it didn't come up good.
So I mean, it was just like this whirlwind of chaos, just like of trying to figure out like, okay, I need a hotel for 3 guys. Like, I need like that meal vouchers, all this stuff. Because you better believe I'm not going to be paying for any of this. So yeah,
Not at all.
So like, yeah, it was just so crazy. So Joey and Ab and I just ended up just hanging out in Chicago at the hotel. And then, like, thankfully, the next day we got on the plane. The thing that kind of stunk, though, is, like, it didn't leave until, like, 4:45 the next day. So we're just like, yeah, we're definitely missing the show. Like, thankfully, Steve played an acoustic set. Like, that all worked out okay. It was just...
it was barely okay. Just
Steve then.
Just to make a long story short, just imagine a dumpster fire that every time you turn around, somebody just pours a little more gasoline on. You're like, why won't this thing just burn and be done? And it just kept growing. So that was that, and then eventually the dumpster fire went out in. I don't think I've ever been so happy to see Joe, Nick, and Ab when they got to the UK, because I'm just like, I don't know what you guys just went through, but we just went through some like crazy stuff. And they're like, yeah, this was just gnarly. We were so stoked to play that first show together.
Awesome. Yes, so, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Feel like an actual band.
So how many shows did you guys play over there? Like, was this just the first one of like a tour?
Yeah, we did 5 shows in the UK, and then we had like a day of travel, and then 2 in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That would have been terrible if it was just that show. like Christmas Rock Night or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully, the rest of the shows were like really great. That's though. Good. Like, they were awesome. Like, the whole experience was really awesome. It was just like, it was literally just the traveling portion of it. Like, because they like, even with the van, like at first the guy that rented the van to us told us, like, hey, so we don't have an automatic transmission. We have a manual transmission.
No, he didn't tell us that. We found out when we got it.
We're like, see, that's even worse.
Yeah.
See, these are things that I wasn't made privy to when they got there.
You guys in England, you have to drive on the other side of the road, right?
Yeah. So,
did you remember that?
You're shifting. Yes. Ben drove the whole time because I told him that was part of the deal. I was like, if you're coming, you're doing the whole.
I would be freaking out.
Yeah. He handled it like a champ.
Really?
Yeah, he did. He got it. He got it down good too.
That's crazy.
Not the manual part in the beginning. That was a little. That was.
Automatic part.
That was. I could die here.
Manual right-hand driving and right lane or left lane.
There was at one point. Yeah, I know, dude. It was so wacky. Like, trying to shift to the left hand, and Ben's like, "I can't find second gear," and I was like trying to help him. I'm like,
"Wait, is the gear order backwards too?"
No, it's
the same. He's doing it with his other hand because he's on the other side of the car.
No, I'm just imagining it being everything's backwards. So you'd do like top right.
Yeah, it wasn't quite. Yeah, it wasn't quite like Bizarro World, but it was close. Yeah, but. Ben stalled like 6 times getting out of the parking lot, but then like the worst part was just like big incline. He just nailed it, and then he was fine from then on out. But I was just like, how did you stall in the parking lot so many times? And like the hardest parts of the drive, you just rose to the occasion. But I guess I'm glad he did it that way than the opposite. So
wow,
yeah,
that's hilarious.
But there's honestly we could tell you plenty of stories, but those are
great.
Sufficient.
Never a dull moment, that is for sure.
No, those make for great podcast conversations for sure. we love crazy tour stories on here, so thanks for sharing.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. So I thought it'd be fun to after we wrapped up the talk about Lost in Translation, kind of just talk about like. Steve, last time we had you on, you talked about kind of the history of the band and the formation, how you guys got Nick. Mm-hmm. I would really love to hear, Nick, you coming into the band from your perspective. I think that would be really cool.
Like, let's go. My brother in Christ, there is not enough time in this podcast. I am being forthright with you. Like, where do I begin? Oh my gosh, you know what's funny is we were just having this conversation at the Haste Today show.
Oh yeah,
about how literally the journey began. Like, I mean, I was 17, getting ready to turn, or I was 18, getting ready to turn 18.
No, you were 17 turning 18, but you told us you were 19.
Oh, it starts off with a lie.
100%. But it gets even better. So it starts off with a lie, but ended off with me telling like one of the is so dumb. So no, I was just like, I mean, it was your typical like 17-year-old kid, like just trying to figure out what I want to do, but I love doing music. The band that I was in was a local band to Ohio, like the southern and central Ohio. We played with a lot of different like local bands and stuff like that. The way that we met was because of a band that we had mutual friends in called Though She Wrote. They were a real big central Ohio band. They like, before they broke up, like they were getting ready to get signed to Rise and all this other stuff, but they ended up like breaking up because one of their guys joined the military. They were having their last show, and we opened up for that show, and Wolves was like direct support to that show. So it was really crazy because like my childhood was not very like traditional in the senses of like growing up in church or doing any of those things that like maybe some of the other guys had or whatever. But like my family went to church, but I don't necessarily consider my parents to be believers. It's not something that they've ever really professed or, it was just a weird dynamic in my family. We went to church because like we had to kind of thing. It actually wasn't until I met these guys that the Lord truly worked in my heart and like opened my eyes and really made me like just bear down and look inward, ask if I like truly hated my sin. And I hated, so I just lived my life as a regular heathenistic teenager, whatever. That sounds terrible, but anyway. So I was like trying to figure out the music thing. And then I went up to Steve because like I remember watching their set. It was really strange because I don't know how many times I've talked about this. I know I've shared it with Steve, but like, when you feel like you're the only person in the world when somebody's talking to you and it's like very like, like mano a mano, even though somebody's like speaking to a crowd or whatever. It was weird because he and I made eye contact, like when he was sharing the gospel, and I was like standing in the middle of the pit of the show, but there was like nobody around me. Period. It was just funny because I really like honed in on what he was saying, and I felt that was a weird, like, cool little moment or whatever. I don't know. So I went up and talked to Steve, and I was like, "Hey, man, like, I really liked what you." I feel bad saying this because, like, it sounds like a lot of people at our shows that come up to us is like, "Hey, man, I really liked your talk up there. I really liked your message."
It's my TED Talk, dude.
But but that's what I said. Like, I said something like that to him, and we just got to talking. He was like, "Wait, you were in the band like that opened up?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, and then Jeremy like walked up. He was like, "Dude, your band was sick. Like that was cool." Yeah. So yeah, we got to know each other for a while, and eventually like Steve hit me up on Facebook and asked if I'd be interested in joining or if I'd be interested in trying out because they were like Colin was getting ready to leave the band because he was having his third child at the time, and he just like couldn't commit to touring. And then that's when I learned about like Wolves getting signed to Solid State here in a couple months, and then like all these other things that like things were actually starting to move. And so we did our like first couple tours like later that year. But the conversation I'm talking about that we just had is because my dad came out to the show, and we like talked about it and we said, "Hey, we're getting ready to do like, a couple tours, like pretty much back to back. Like we were going to be on the road like for practically like well over 2 months."
Whoa.
And because then we had another one coming up in that February the next year with a band called Come Wind and Orphan Poet.
Come Wind is so good.
Yeah. That was like the next one that we did. But he's like, I got a bunch of demos that I'd really love for you to like try, like putting some vocals on and doing all this other stuff. So my van had just broken down. The thing that was getting me to all the practices, mind you, I lived like an hour and a half away from where they were. So like I had to travel a lot to get there. But like, so I just showed up at Steve's apartment in Dayton, Ohio with a bag of clothes.
I'm pretty sure it was a black garbage can.
And broken dreams. And just and just he's like, "Yeah, man." And he's like, "Steve, I remember when he's like, oh, he's moving in." Like,
Nick's
so
dad
bad.
dropped
My
him
dad
off
just like dropped me off
with all of his stuff.
That's so
and he just
funny.
starts bringing in all this stuff, and I was just like, I'm like, dude, we're gonna be on tour for like a couple months. It's not a big deal. And his dad goes, nope, this is all his stuff. He's staying here. And I was like, is he now?
He's like,
I was like, who gets to claim him as a? Yeah. I was like, can I claim him as a dependent on my taxes? Like, is that how this is gonna work
Can
now?
he pay rent?
all of his tour
And I
money
was-
goes towards rent.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually really funny because like the only few things that Steve really knew about like, you know, some of like life stuff, you know, other than like music, was that like, you know, what little bit I'd shared with him about like what's like stuff at home. The only other thing he knew about me was that I shared with him at a smash burger that we went to that I had gotten arrested from Walmart for petty theft. For like steal, like I was 18 years, or you know, I was 17 years old, 18 years old, and like just all this, just stole a bunch of dumb crap. You know what I mean? Like dumb kid in college, like not. And I worked there too. It was really dumb, but like so he dropped
The
me
employee
off at his
discount
house.
wasn't enough.
No, absolutely not. No, I wanted chicken for free. Okay,
There it is.
I worked at Walmart too.
chicken
It doesn't
for
pay
free.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick
Yeah,
Nick is
but no,
immortalized
it's
in
like-
the band for his we always, anytime we see him around chicken, we're like, you gotta pay for that. You can't steal that.
And now the whole world knows.
Man. But like, mind you, like think about like these are the only things he knows about me. So now I'm just like moving in with him. And he's like, "What is happening?"
Just steal all my chicken.
The first grocery trip was like an eye opener. Like, oh man, that was insane. But yeah, so we did a couple tours. We did our first tour with a band called from Farewell to Freeway. They were a Victory Records band
Okay.
that was just like doing this really small tour. And then another band called Brighter Than 1,000 Suns. And that was like a weird, like 2-week run kind of thing, super small. And after that tour is when they had like asked if I wanted to join the band, just because like we had a couple tours was quite the experience already, enough as it is between eating fingernails and yeah.
I think you broke Steve.
Oh no, these are Steve's best moments. He loves reliving this. This is what solidified our friendship.
Yeah. There's some wild stuff that happened.
Oh
Just
my
things-
gosh, just
things I never
between
thought I would. Yeah, things I never thought I would experience in this life. You know, Nick.
me getting staph infection twice.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Just like
Or like-
just dude.
Like, are you like like who are you wrestling at in like high school gyms that you're getting staph infection all the time? Where are you getting this
It was
from?
bad. Dude,
I'm like, I live with
I
you.
was a shambles. I was a shamble of a human being. It was
Yeah.
great.
Honestly, those first couple of years, I mean, there are too many stories. And as soon as I think I know them all, Ben reminds me of a dozen more. Just,
Whoa, one
Nick
second
is-
though, before we move on.
yeah.
How long did Nick stay with you, or was this like an indefinite thing?
Oh man, how long was it, Nick? I mean, it was, I don't know, felt like
It was
a long time.
it was a while. I mean, it was at least because it was past the the Bald Eagle Your tour.
That's right.
If you remember that.
I do
Yeah.
remember that.
I mean, it was like, I want to say it was almost a year. I want to
Yeah,
say
it was-
like
yeah, it was about a year.
Like it was, yeah, because the reality was like we kind of talked about it too, like about like why my dad just like we were having issues and I kind of got like I got kicked out and we were just like Steve was like helping me figure stuff out and like I was trying to figure out like a game plan of how, because like I grew up with just like in an environment where it was just like you did your own thing and it was like just figure it out kind of thing. So like Steve was one of the first brothers I ever had that actually like helped me try to get things together, you know, kind of thing, and like figure out like a good job to have at home. Like he even brought me with him to like several construction jobs that we had done. And, you know, even if it was just like roofing or demo, like those are great stories too. Like listen, there is a
Do you remember the first day you worked with me?
Yes.
Yeah. So once I realized that Nick was getting dropped off like indefinitely, I was like, well, dude, I'm gonna go work in the morning. And I was like, there's no chance you're just staying here. You're coming with me. And he's like, okay. And so we were re-roofing a house, and Nick had never done anything like that before. And
one time, but when I was like 14, but not enough to know what to do. Like,
yeah, 7 a.m. Nick is just like sleeping on the whole ride there, and I like wake him up when we get there. I'm like, all right, let's go, dude. You got to start carrying shingles up the ladder. He's like, what? And he did it. I was like, you're going to need to just work to like kind of earn your way. Cause like, I didn't realize I was going to have to like buy your food and everything else. So like, I legit was like taking care of him.
You were his dad.
I was trying to like fit this weird, it was like this weird like dad, uncle, brother scenario where it was like, whatever that is, like, my uncle bro dad.
Awesome. Many life lessons were learned.
Yeah. But I just remember him like under his breath, I hate this. This is stupid, And I just kept laughing while I was laughing like this the whole time I was working, because I was like, I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, just,
Oh man!
like, you got to figure out life, man. This is it. Oh my goodness, I'm just remembering so many things now. Yeah, and you're just like, why are these stupid things so heavy? I'm like, because that's how it is, man. Yeah, the shingles are heavy. Yeah. Oh man.
That's amazing.
So yeah, just so many good stories. But I mean, that's how Captors came to fruition, was through all of that nonsense.
That's amazing. I love that so much.
That was the journey.
So I wanted to ask. Yeah, Chris, you go for it.
Well, yeah, we were just wanting to know about your guys' 10 years of Captors tours, shows that you did, because that's like a really big milestone to look back on, and it's a decade since that came out. Obviously, is big, but just how did those go? Like, was there any more crazy cool stories from those shows?
Yeah, thankfully we're making better decisions in life at 10 years on.
Relearning the music.
No, the shows.
Was it tough relearning?
Yeah. It was, honestly. I think Nick and I had the hardest job, just because there's so many lyrics on that album.
So many. Oh my god.
And so many like lyrical changes and things that aren't the same the first time as they are the second time, which is like, it was cool for that moment, but it definitely makes for like a tough job, for the old noggin. I mean, I had to practice a lot to like make sure I was remembering all the lyrics, and
right.
But it was a lot of fun, and it was just it was fun to do that. Like I actually I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. It was also really fun for me to kind of like get inside my own head lyrically, to kind of remember where I was, and kind of having gratitude for where I am now. I think I don't know if people could see the difference. For me, I know, I guess, the heart that was behind a lot of things that I was writing, and some of it was a really good place, and some of it was just out of like ignorance and not really like understanding what I was saying. And so that part was like cool for me. It brought out a lot of like gratitude for the good that God was doing in me at that time, and also the ways that he's kind of, just continued to work in me. And, just, it's like taking a look at, sanctification storybook kind of, to see, because I know some of the things that were behind some of the things I said. And honestly, a lot of it is just, some of it's just pride, not realizing that what I was actually saying, or the heart behind it, was kind of arrogant. And so it's not that I said anything that was wrong. I knew the heart that was behind some of the things I was saying, not really having the understanding I have now of, you know, I was learning during that time, I was learning that Christianity is far more about learning dependency on God, not necessarily what I do for him, but what he does for me. And so I think that's where the lyrics started to change a lot more from the end of Captors to now, and I think more so in that trajectory. So that was what was cool for me, was to kind of just see that and have gratitude for God's kindness and patience with me.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
What about you, Nick?
Well, it was kind of nice. I mean, when that record first came out, like we played like, you know, because it was like, honestly, like the majority of our material at the time. So we played those songs like a lot on tours. So for me, it was a little bit of muscle memory where like we started doing the songs, and then when we practiced, like it started kicking back in. But the problem is that we had played all of them except for one song, and we had never played Through the Night live.
Oh, for real? Okay.
So so it was just like, it was definitely like a hard curve trying to get me, like trying to like figure that song out and like really nail it down. And even then I didn't even feel like but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like, I think the whole band is kind of in the same, you know, the band from that era, you know, which is really me, Ben, and Steve, like, you know, especially me and Steve. Like, I think that, yeah, it's just a cool reminder of like where we're at and from where we're from. We kind of hold the same sentiment. Like obviously, like my vocal style has changed a lot since then, you know, like it's kept its same, like, I mean, you know, tenacity or whatever, but it's like I've wanted to learn to adapt and evolve and give the songs the best thing it could ever be. And like, mind you too, like that was the first record I'd ever made, you know, with a band, you know, or ever been on with a band. You know, I'd always done like small little house demos or EPs or whatever, like previous bands I've in, but you know, that was the first legit one. I know it was for like everybody else too, but it was like, it was a big deal to me because like I never thought that it'd ever get to that point, you know, like I had no direction at this point. Like, and I really do believe that this is a maturity thing as well, especially like given what age and like what like season of life I was in at the time. I was still like trying to fully accept, not even just understand, like fully accept what it meant, that what God's grace actually meant, and like trying to understand like what it was, what I was deserving of, which was of nothing, you know, and that any accomplishment I had as a musician, because I held that in such high standard or high regard, because like, man, it was listening to like our songs. Like it was really like, it's crazy. Steve's talking about the lyrics that he wrote, because those are some of the things that drew me to it. I remember when I was practicing the material before, like to go to try out, I was listening to Harold's and it floored me. Like it literally, it floored me. I was in the middle of my dad's living room weeping because I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't understand that, like the Lord was showing me things. Like he was showing me my sin. He was showing me myself. He's showing me like the love that he offers, you know, and that like it requires nothing of me. Even now, like I'm always learning new things or being given new sight. What does that actually mean? And I think like I was actually listening to like a Paul Washer sermon today. He was talking about like, you know, because I had grown up with the like, have you accepted Jesus into your heart, you know, shtick, like that whole thing, which is insanely unbiblical.
Right.
Like, but it's like the question being like, not have you asked Jesus into your heart, is like, do you hate your sin or do you hate God? You know, and those are the questions that we ask ourselves. Like, have you come to a point where you love the God that you once hated and that you hate the sin that you once loved? And that was just a whirlwind, like bringing me back to that time when I was in that era of understanding what the gospel really meant. So like that was the culmination of that point, was that record. Is like beginning to truly actually understand and be open to what God's love is, and that is in Christ, and that accepting that there is nothing I could ever offer, and then that he has given me everything in Christ. And yeah, it's just like, it's just a crazy time to think about. Like, but I mean, obviously, like I've told these guys in this band that, but man, my life would be crazy different if it wasn't for this band. Like, and that's not even in the musical aspect. That is in the life aspect. That is it has literally saved my life.
Wow.
You know, it's crazy when I think about what you were just talking about, Nick, and this time period. I was like, I got legit mad at you because you were telling me how you came to faith, and it was like under my nose almost, and it was so, and I was like, why didn't you tell me that this happened? Because Nick was kind of just like, you know, he is if anybody that's ever met Nick, you know, he'll talk to anybody, you know, he's just like such a friendly person, you know, and I was drawn to that when I met him. And I just thought he was a Christian. I thought that, you know, because he was really encouraging to me, and I was talking to him about the gospel at that show, and then he and I just like, we'd talk on the phone for like hours, and I just was just talking about it because I love talking about it. Little did I know he was like learning it. And so all this, he comes and lives with me. I'm like talking to him about, man, I want to write this song about this, and like talking about why I like the imagery I'm using and how it's all fitting together or whatever, just talking about the scripture that influenced the idea. And this was all new to him, and I thought he was just going like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Like you know, I have the same thought, you know. But he was learning all that stuff during that time, and it wasn't until I think like Captors had come out, and I think it was like after our release show, Nick was just telling me, he was like, because it was like kind of a mountaintop moment for us. We played like a venue we never thought we would play, and there was like, you know, 900 people there at the show for our release. It was like pretty wild, and Nick was just like, yeah, man, you know, like I wouldn't have come to faith had you not, you know, talked to me so much about the gospel. I was like, what are you talking about? And then he told me that, and I was just like, why didn't you tell me that like you like came to faith, you know? And I think part of it was he was just so used to you know, he thought he had to like be this like strong Christian person to be in the band. It's just like, dude, I just want you to be a Christian. There's such thing as a strong Christian. There is no such thing. We have a great Savior, and we're all just weak and needy, and he's so kind to us. And so it was that was just something that I always look back on and just think like, man, God probably spared Nick from me knowing that he was an unbeliever, you know, and just talking to him that way. And so that's what I always think is like, man, God was being gracious to both of us.
What I'm hearing, Steve, is your lack of discernment back then.
The thing is he never, this is the difference. This is the difference is like, I would just talk, and he was just listening and agreeing. And I never stopped to like ask any questions. That's something I definitely learned through that circumstance. And Sean, you are correct. You know, it's like, yeah. Well, honestly, it was just I also realized that about myself thinking back through it. I was like, man, I literally was just talking, and I never asked this guy any questions. I'm like, like, how dense am I? You know, that I, you know, was just going off on just rambling, you know, and this poor kid is just like, man.
This fella does sure talk a lot. Like, I just remember thinking that like that nobody had ever spoke to me, you know, like that. Like nobody had ever talked to me the way, like out of all of the pastors that I had ever had, or like, you know, churches I've been to, because I've been to a lot of them. Like, yeah, like I never in my life had I ever seen. So like, I think that's when like the Lord really started to work, is because it triggered something in my brain that like, oh, this guy actually must be really legit, you know, like, you know, for not what that that's worth, you know, say hearing that, but like, yeah, like, yeah, but seriously, like, yeah, I was content. It was the first time in my life, believe it or not, I was more content on listening than talking. So, but yeah,
I could have used a little bit of that.
It was like I was.
Nick, do you think like throughout the process of like writing and recording Captors, did you come to faith in that process, or was it before? Was it after? Like, do you think there was like that moment?
I think it was actually before that. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really like a moment like for me. I just like I don't know. I'm always like kind of like this sounds weird, but I'm like turned off to that concept because because obviously like the Spirit in us teaches us that like we are a constant work in progress. Like it is sanctification. The Word teaches us that it's sanctification. So it's just like I kind of started to block that like more. I don't know what you call it, like radical like term where it's just like this big extravagant moment kind of thing.
Conversion.
Because I don't really have a moment. Yeah, I don't really have a moment like that just because like I think that just like, dude, even at 31 years old, there's like crazy stuff that the Lord is like working out of me now. You know, things that I've grown up with or mentalities that I believed or lies that I believed about myself, about God, about relationships, any of those things, and that's, it's one of those things that like, we're talking about like, ground zero, right? Like for me, like, and I'm not saying any of these things to like make my sin or make my experiences in life any greater than anybody else's. It's just that like, I can't put enough emotion or emphasis or just any praise more so like it will never be enough to me to express like just the absolute just hellhole that I feel like that this band, like by sharing the gospel with me, that the Lord just reached down and just, I mean, literally snatched me out of, like believing, like truly like believing that I am undeserving, but that he has shown me the way and that I am grateful, like, and that he has shown me a great love that I will never be able to match, but praise God that he is there, and praise God that he gives it freely. And I just like, yeah, I mean, we've expressed this throughout many songs. Like there's like, Asleep is the first one I come to every single time. But Drifter is another one where like, those are the product of conversations between Steve and I, and sometimes some of the other guys in the band. But mostly Steve and I, where like these are very, very dark times that I like, dark places that I've gone to, that where I believe that I felt God had abandoned me, or that I felt like I just completely walked away, or I just feel completely devoid of anything good that God has given me. And that is the spirit of my unbelief. That is a prayer that I pray daily, because I am a gospel forgetter. Like, and I want to be reminded of how good God is, and I want to be reminded of how gracious he was to send his son. And those are big songs to me, because like it is a nice reminder to say that like, this is how deep my love for you is because in these times where you wanted to get rid of all of it, I pulled you to me. Like I came to you. He came to me in those moments every single time, because he has done the work. It is not of me. And yeah, I'll literally talk forever. I will literally go on forever about how this band has literally changed my life. As a matter of fact, this band is also how I met my wife. So if that's any testament to,
that's amazing.
Yeah, any of that is how I met the most wonderful woman.
You met your wife and your bro uncle dad.
Bro uncle dad.
Can that be the title of this episode?
It is just the circle of life.
Oh, that's amazing.
But yeah,
every time Nick says that,
man, it's a whole, it is a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Every time Nick says that, Ben and I go, "No big deal, you owe me." No big deal. You just owe me. So just whenever you get to it, just pay us back. Obviously, we don't mean that, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally it's been It's been everything to me, and I know even more so to Steve. Obviously, Steve is the the main creator, the main man. I'm the experiment. I'm the monster who folks with the stick in the cage and see what happens.
No, Nick obviously is like for us, Nick coming in too was just like a breath of fresh air, and he brought a lot of life and energy and, just something that, our band obviously needed, he's like a great front man. There's a reason why we put him back at the merch table to be there with people and talk to them. We didn't put him there. I mean, he put himself there. He just loves to do that. Many times we're like, yeah, should we hire a merch person? He goes, no, I want to do it, and so there's just uniquely placed in this position. God gave him a voice and put him in our path. And it's just cool to see how all that comes together. And here we are, when you were asking like 10 years, I know bands that have 10-year-old albums. I'm like, man, I can't believe it's been 10 years. But like for us, I'm just kind of like, oh, yeah, 10 years, not that long.
Yeah.
It is long. That's a long time, It's wild. But yeah, just a lot of gratitude that people still care and that we can still keep making music and, stoked for the future for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like I said to you, Sean, earlier, but I like obviously like I've followed you guys' channel for a little bit, so like I'm really grateful, and it's like been awesome to see like a lot of the traffic that has come from you guys to us of like people that have never heard our music before, and like that's been really encouraging. So it's just like, so thank you for sharing all that stuff again. Seriously, like sharing all of our music and just lifting us up and encouraging us and just being like an awesome like support as well, because like, man, it means the world to us. Like we wouldn't be anything without people like you guys.
Oh, thanks,
well,
man.
Thank you. Praise the Lord. I wouldn't be who I am without your guys' music. I've told Steve this before. I'm not sure if I've told you, Nick, but Captors was like my gateway record from like rock into metal and metalcore. So like one of my top 5 all-time favorite records, just has so much meaning and sentimentality to me. So thank you guys for what you do, and thank you guys for coming on. This was an awesome conversation. We were really looking forward to this for a bit. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
Guys. Yeah, dude, anytime.
What a weird journey we went on, huh?
I know.
I was just trying to think back, like, where did this conversation start? Like, man, we covered some wacky stuff.
I know.
That's awesome.
That's sick. Well, yeah, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, of course. Just means we'll have to do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Next year. No.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the KingdomCore Podcast. Thank you again for Steve and Nick coming on, as well as Solid State Records, and everybody involved with making the Lost in Translation album. Go and check it out now on streaming services. Go purchase a copy, all that jazz. But yeah, thank you again to Nick and Steve for coming on the podcast and giving up their time. It was a really great conversation. We didn't do this part in the intro, so I thought I would come on and give a little bit of an outro and say goodbye. But we want to give a really special shout out to our Patreon supporters. You guys have been there from the beginning, supporting the podcast, and we also have some new guys as well. So first of all, shout out to the Patreon core givers: Fabian Richter, Daniel Harding, Steve Michalowski, also known as the Heavy Metal Prophet, Anthony Kuchma, Frankie Blocker, Aaron Peter, and our true fan supporters, the Dead Pedal Coffee Company, as well as Robert Heck. He is a newer up-and-coming musician. You can check out Robert Heck Music on Spotify, or probably other streaming services as well as on YouTube. He has some music videos. He has some cool music, so go and check that out. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening and following along with this podcast. It means the world to us. Stay tuned. We have another episode already recorded, and it'll be coming out soon, and I'm sure you guys will all love that one as well. So until then, peace, and we'll see you soon.